Alright guys, part 2 as promised, covering Dustborn, the development studio behind them, as well as how they've been funded and what exactly is going on behind the scenes as to why this game exists in the first place. So I appreciate all the channel members who have been supporting us here, who got a first peek at this video, but now that it's live for everybody, we're going to dive right into it. So you can see right here this article from Fandom Wire talking about how Madam Savvy, who a lot of people know on Twitter, said that this game was the most painful thing she has ever suffered through. I think for most of us who have been privy to a lot of the little videos and screenshots and all the crap that's come out about it, we can agree that this game is so cringe and cringe-inducing that I don't understand how or why it exists in the first place. But once you get into how the game was essentially funded, it makes a lot more sense. So Grums here on Twitter put together this amazing thread that says Dustborn used far more government money than has previously been reported. Now, again, it's important to remember it came out a few days ago that this game received 150,000 euros. I think it's roughly around 200,000 US dollars for funding as a grant from the Norwegian government, okay? Now you see here it says the Norwegian Film Institute funded the game for 14 million kroner, or nearly 1.4 million US dollars. This is in addition to the 150,000 euros from the Creative EU grant program. Dustborn is basically an Antifa training game. You bash the fash across the divided states of America by using vocal powers to call people racist. And again, this is some of the stuff we've looked into before. He goes on to say the company Red Thread Games looks to be funding multiple games through the use of these government grants. The games do not make money, as you can see from the Steam charts below for their prior games Dreamfall Chapters and Draugen. And you can actually see the games listed on Red Thread Games' Steam page here. And despite the fact that they don't have many people playing them, I will be honest and say they do have mostly positive reviews for both games, both Dreamfall Chapters and Draugen. 3,000 positive reviews. It says very positive for Dreamfall Chapters. Draugen's got, 1,670 reviews for mostly positive. Just not a lot of people playing them, and not a lot of people actually bought the game. Obviously, if you only have 3,000 reviews, your game couldn't have made that much money. He goes on to say the company seems to be grifting off EU taxpayers' money, which are awarded in part on ESG criteria, which we've seen time and time again. If you want your game funded, if you want one of these hedge funds or these investment firms to invest in you, if you want to get attraction of the mainstream press, the media, you have to be grifting towards ESG or DEI or some combination of the both. It says, remember when people denied ESG grants for indies existed and called everyone a conspiracy theorist? I think we're far beyond that part. I think everybody knows it's a real thing. He says the Norwegian Film Institute, oh, hang on a second, let me scroll back up, focuses on productions where the percentage of women in key roles is a factor. Their latest project, Svalbard, has received nearly 11 million kroner so far, which is about $1 million US dollars, and 150,000 euro more than the EU creative program. And you can see right here they say, it is pleasing to see that the proportion of women in Norwegian games is on the rise. We also see this in the application pile in general, says Kaja Hench-Durley, section leader for computer games at NFI. So again, simply saying more women equals more good. And yeah, you can see that they have the 3 games listed, all of them receiving some sort of funding from the Norwegian Film Institute. Very curious. A lot of money being pumped into these by certain institutes and organizations. What is going on with my Twitter? It keeps jumping around. Says the rest of the funding is likely through their publisher Quantic Dream via their Spotlight publishing program, and we talked in the last video about how Quantic Dream, the publisher of this game, is exceedingly woke, focusing heavily on diversity and inclusivity, and trying to put a spotlight on more of this global audience reach. Quantic Dream provides Red Thread Games with additional support, including narrative work, motion capture, sound design, localization, and more. This is likely provided for free in addition to whatever funding Quantic Dreams invests in Dustborn. And of course, there's more to it, and we're going to get into that in a second. He says it's curious why Red Thread Games continues to produce games given that none of them have garnered enough users to pay for their production. It's also concerning that Dustborn has been crafted as a political agitprop tool backed by taxpayers who do not want this kind of disruption to their cultures or society. And I think we see that a lot all throughout the West, whether it's Europe or America. A lot of people saying, why is my government funding these things? Why have our schools been teaching these things? What is going on with this messaging, this anti-Western? Why are we seeing this pop up more and more? Well, now you see from the studio themselves, from Red Thread Games' own website, in their story it says that they create games with soul for players who love stories. It says Red Thread Games is an independent game developer and publisher based in Norway. We're storytellers and we tell our stories using the unique strength of our medium. Our mission is to create games with soul for a global and diverse audience of players who love stories across a wide range of genres and platforms. I don't know why a Norwegian studio wouldn't try to create games that, appeal to Norwegian players, but I'll just go on. It says, to us, soul signifies depth, diversity, delight. It means games that are handcrafted with love, featuring compelling personal narratives, engaging game mechanics, and immersive worlds populated with multicultural characters. So again, the monkey game just does not fly, because even though there's plenty of mythical creatures and animals in it, it's still a Chinese game with Chinese people, so that's bad. Our values drive our creative decisions, resulting in games with personality, a point of view, and purpose, games that hopefully have something interesting and important to say. And of course, you scroll down here, it says, we are represented by DDM, Digital Development Management. Please direct business inquiries accordingly. Now, are you curious as to what DDM is? Because I sure was. Well, they are essentially an investment company that also does representation and consulting. So essentially, you go to them and say, hey, we're trying to get our game funded. We're trying to sell a studio. We're trying to create a game that you try to get a game funded so we can sell our studio. They handle investment, mergers and acquisitions, all sorts of crazy stuff. And nothing about their company, even the consulting side of their website, screams woke. Nothing about it really jumps out as being exceedingly woke. Nothing about it really just jumps out at you and says, "Oh my God, here's the smoking gun." So even in their consulting box here, this little production page essentially where it says their DDM production services, they do art concepting, combat design, localization, which we've seen a lot. This is a very controversial thing where the localizers decide to make something woke that wasn't intended to be woke. Marketing and PR, narrative design, that's again the Sweet Baby Ink type thing. Let's see, you've also got VFX animation, voice casting, and writing. Voice casting, writing, localization, and narrative design tend to be the four things that stick out like a sore thumb when it comes to a company that has gotten heavily invested in a game and has made it exceedingly woke. A lot of times those are the four keywords that just kind of jump out at you. Here's what's important though. Their list of clients is massive. Many of which are either investment, representation, or consulting. A lot of these companies, they don't do all three. It's one or the other. However, when you actually go to their list of clients, and you'll see companies like, for example, Bandai Namco listed on there, these are the decisions these companies have made. Bandai Namco has this game Unknown 9 Awakening coming out that recently has been added to the Sweet Baby Ink Detected list. So that right there is another red flag. Then you've got Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll, who is a client of DDM, you can see them right here. Crunchyroll recently got in trouble for disabling comments for their user reviews in order to, quote, reduce harmful content and prevent misinformation. I mean, you could say this has nothing to do with DDM, and I don't have any proof that DDM had a hand in them making this decision, but then you see Bloober. Bloober Team CEO asked gamers to give Silent Hill 2 Remake a chance after publisher confirmed it was designed for, quote, modern audiences. Again, Bloober being a client of DDM, listed right here. Even if it's just for investment services, it's very strange that these companies are all getting into issues with modernization and woke issues with their games and designs when they're all clients of DDM. You go even further. You go here, Game Freak. Game Freak is listed as one of their clients. Game Freak has had a lot of issues and has actually been in a lot of controversy recently for the fact that they've decided to make their Pokemon Go game androgynous. If you remember a few months ago, they created the androgynous body types for their trainers in Pokemon Go, and that's Game Freak. Game Freak being a 30% owner in Pokemon. So again, very curious that they have all these connections. In the Friends section of DDM's website, though, this is even more fascinating. Listed in the friends that they have that they've worked with, you have such things as the Entertainment Software Association Foundation that is all about harnessing the power of video games. Here's what they say: as part of our mission, we provide scholarships to the next generation of video game innovators and support schools and charitable organizations that leverage entertainment software and technology, blah, blah, blah. But of course, we support geographically diverse projects and programs that benefit all races, age, and gender. I think that's fine if you want to support everybody regardless of age, race, or gender. And yet here you have annual scholarships that are awarded to 31 women, minority, and LGBTQ college students who, emerging from a pandemic, are eager to create video games and content reflecting their lives. Okay, this is somebody that DDM has worked with. Next you have Widgie, I believe it is. It is the Women in Games International, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that champions a safe, inclusive, and diverse workforce in the video game, tabletop, and esports industry with equal access and opportunities for all. Again, listed as a friend of DDM. Okay? Then you've got Venture Beat, and on their Games Beat section, on their, again, this is a news, essentially, website, gaming communities making connections and fighting toxicity. Using tech to fight toxicity in online games. We've heard that many times from a lot of these companies. And, last but not least, we've also got Unity. Unity, who recently got into trouble for upping the pricing model on their game tools, where they were essentially trying to charge developers on a per install basis after certain revenue and game download thresholds are met. Very curious that a company like DDM is connected to Red Thread Games. So I'm gonna leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this. I think that there's so much more beneath the surface. This is like Sweet Baby Inc. intensified. This company is a company that, again, I said has, they have, I believe their revenue from last year alone was like somewhere in the like 7 million figure. I can't find the exact number, but it's absolutely insane. The more you dig into this, the more these companies keep popping up. So let me know what you think about all this, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.